Right, in this video, we're going to look at how we might format our cells to make them a bit more presentable. So if this table at the moment was handwritten and someone sort of presented it as their practical work, there'd be various issues with it. We mentioned when the values went in this first table that the value of 1 written here is different to the value of 1.0. We want to show that we've thought about significant figures. Worse than that are these values of the height over here on the left, where you can see where it comes out as an exact value, it's just written it to 2 significant figures. Where it comes out as a third or 2/3, it's trying to write it to an infinite number of significant figures. You can make these cells bigger, and it does limit it to an extent to a certain number of significant figures, but it's too many. And so we're gonna put that right. So for physics, our usual rule is that in a table of data, all of the values should be entered to to the same number of decimal places, just so that it looks presentable. So going in here, again, a couple of different ways you can do this. If I do right click, format cells, having highlighted those, then I can choose what category of data I'm putting into it. Now, as standard, it does this thing called general, and general works nicely because it will take anything, whatever you put into it, it will basically work out what sort of thing you've entered. So if you enter a date, it will display it as a date. If you enter a time, it will display it as a time. But because we want something a bit different to that, we want something which we've got a bit more manipulation over, we're going to change it to a number, and then we can control the number of decimal places. Now, because of the method with which we were timing, I think any more than 1 decimal place is suggesting we know we don't have that level of precision, to display that much. So I'm going to choose 1 decimal place, press OK, and you can see my 1s have become 1.0s. Similarly, when I go over to this column, I can do the same thing. I want this displayed to the same number of significant figures as the data that was put into it. So I can right click, format cells, number, and what I want for these really is to have no decimal places consistently all the way down the column. So it just displays it to the nearest whole number, like the data that it has been based upon. Similarly for this one, this is a 2 significant figure value over here, 2 significant figure value over here. Let's do this one a slightly different way. So you've got these 2 buttons here that allow you to increase and decrease the number of decimal places. So if I just keep clicking these, I can chop off the decimal places or increase the number of decimal places in a different way to get it to display nicely on the page. I suppose the last thing I might do if I want this to look a bit better is carrying on what I was doing earlier, change the formatting of this cell so I can see it better. Since I've now got average height of air, I should probably change this to average height of liquid. I'm going to need to format the size of this one. There we are. And then because it's a table of data, we might want to make it clear what the sort of column headings are. So I can change this so it's in bold. Perhaps doesn't make a huge amount of difference. I could change it so it's got a sort of light grey look to it. And then since this is my table of data complete for now, we are going to add to it later. I might choose, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I might choose to put a borders all the border lines in it, so if I printed it I'd be able to see where the lines were. These sort of light grey lines don't show up when you print, and then I might just choose to put a thick border all the way around the outside as well. So various little editing things I can do just to make it appear a bit more nicely.